How's it going, everyone? We have to go over some massive PlayStation news that is damn near, I don't want to say broke the internet this morning, but it has gained quite a lot of traction, and that is the report that Sony Group Corporation is in talks to acquire Kadokawa Corporation. A deal could be signed in the coming weeks, sources claim. Now, Kadokawa might be an entity that you are not too familiar with. However, Kadokawa Corporation is the parent company of numerous subsidiaries across publishing, film, and visual novel, and cross-media. Its game development subsidiaries include From Software, and that's the one that is majorly getting a lot of traction. However, that's not the only one. Okay, so From Software would be a massive coup as a part of Kadokawa. Now, they own a large portion of From Software. I want to say it's around 70%. Sony has a 14% stake in FromSoft, so if this goes through, Sony will have around 84%. Tencent will have the other 16%. As far as the breakdown goes. So they're looking to acquire Kadokawa, who owns, or at least owns part of From Software, acquire Gacha Games and Spike Chunsoft. If you're not familiar, Acquire has done a lot of titles like Way of the Samurai, Octopath Traveler. Mario & Luigi recently was done by them as well, which just came out on the Nintendo Switch. And then Spike Chunsoft, obviously, that is a notable entity as well. They've done a lot of games that I recommend quite often. Danganronpa, AI the Somnium Files, so on and so forth. So those are some major acquisitions that Sony would be making. Not to mention, Kadokawa has their hands in a lot of other areas, including, remember, Sony and Crunchyroll, Funimation, all that would be enhanced as well. And on top of that, Kadokawa Game Linkage does operate major media like Famitsu and Dengeki, and is also a games publisher. There is a lot to dissect here. However, the most interesting part is talks between the two sides are reportedly ongoing, and a deal could be signed in the coming weeks if successful, sources have reported. This would be an absolutely massive deal, and deals like this usually get reported from major media entities. And Reuters reporting it, I do think, obviously incredibly credible. We'll see if in the coming weeks this does go through. I wouldn't imagine that this would be a case where all of the games become exclusive to Sony platforms. I don't know that to be a fact. I am just throwing my 2 cents out there, but this would obviously be a major acquisition. And with From Software being a part of this, remember that there's a lot to this than just From Software, and there's a lot to this than just gaming. I think, obviously, our viewers and the general gaming community is going to focus on the gaming elements of this story. However, this extends beyond gaming. I am sure the gaming element is a large factor to this, but all of the other elements that are a part of Kadokawa, I do have to think that that is a major reason for Sony to even be in talks. It would be incredibly interesting if we get reports on what a number value is, because we know that Sony has spent quite a lot of money on entities like Bungie. However, this is an entity that extends far beyond just video games, but From Software, Spike Chunsoft, them being even in the mix, and I know me saying From Software and Spike Chunsoft is like, oh, they're 1A, 1B. Yes, I get it. From Software is obviously orders of magnitude bigger, especially to our audience than the aforementioned studios, but we'll see how all of this turns out. Sony has obviously worked with From before. They've published a lot of From titles in the past, Demon's Souls Original, Bloodborne, and I'm not even gonna talk about Bloodborne Remaster. Like, I don't think this has anything to do with that, but people obviously are gonna naturally just bring that up. But we'll see how all of that turns out. Moving on from that, that's an absolutely massive story, but we'll see if it comes to fruition, and then I think there's gonna be a lot more dialogue on it. A lot of news and notes coming from Remedy Entertainment this morning, developers of Alan Wake and Control. Control 2, the sequel to the action-adventure title Control, was noted to be an action RPG. Developer Remedy Entertainment announced during its Capital Markets Day 2024 presentation. Remedy Entertainment said it expects to sell between 3 and 4 million copies of Control 2 during its lifetime on the market. 3 to 4 million sounds about right. The only thing is, I do imagine that it's going to be an Epic Game Store exclusive, and that is obviously going to eat at the initial sales. I mean, that's just without a shadow of a doubt. I believe that Alan Wake 2 got its sales numbers stifled because of the Epic Game Store exclusivity, but I don't have a problem with the exclusivity in that sense, because without Epic Games, I really don't believe that Control 2 would have even, or excuse me, Alan Wake 2 would have come to fruition. So, you know, it is what it is. If you are publishing and you are the arm of the reason that a game is coming to fruition, you do whatever the hell you want with it. I ain't gonna tell Sony to be like, yo, Uncharted's gotta be on Xbox or Horizon's gotta be on Xbox. I just think personally the timed exclusivity nonsense where a publisher comes in, throws a bunch of money at a studio on a game that was already gonna be happening anyway, and then they get it just to lock it out of a different platform for X amount of time, I think that's pretty whack. But when you're funding the development of the game and you are a primary reason that the game even exists, honestly, have at it, make it an exclusive, make it exclusive to whatever platform you want, or release it on whatever platform you want. I just think in the sense of a Control 2, an Alan Wake 2 that we've just seen, you are going to eat at its sales numbers, especially given Alan Wake Control. Those games will do really well on the PC market as well. But if we're talking lifetime sales after years and years of it being on the market, it getting discounted heavily, I think it'll hit 3 million units. Alan Wake 2, as noted, is already at 1.8 million units, and that's a year after release. If you're telling me Control 2 is going to be at the level of Alan Wake 2, you know, a legit Game of the Year contender, why am I not to believe that within 3 to 4 years, or 5 to 7 years, Control 2 can hit 3 to 4 million copies sold? I think that's fairly reasonable. Total sales for survival horror game sequel Alan Wake 2 have surpassed 1.8 million units. You know what's super interesting? 40% game completion rate. I don't know how that shakes up to other games, but 40% seems kind of low for a game like this, and I don't know if it's a case of a lot of other people picking up the game that were incredibly excited for it, and it's just not resonating at the level that I personally thought it was going to with me. Like, Alan Wake 2 was a game I was incredibly excited for, and unfortunately, I just did not like it as much as Alan Wake 1. I loved a lot of elements of it. I thought the atmosphere, the soundtrack, the tension in the game, all of those elements were great. It's just like the game just didn't click with me, and maybe the big reason for that is some of the level design elements I wasn't crazy about, but also, you know, it's called Alan Wake. I want to play as Alan Wake the whole time. That's just my 2 cents. You can disagree, you can agree on how the narrative shakes out. You know, it seems like most people did enjoy it from a narrative standpoint, but if a game's called Alan Wake, I want to be playing as Alan Wake the whole time, you feel me? But yeah, it's still a game that I'm gonna recommend to people. Objectively, people seem to really enjoy it, and you know, the overall grand opinion is that it's one of the best games of 2023. Most people's number 2 game of the year behind Baldur's Gate 3, and I've said it before, both of those games didn't click with me, and I was a big fan of RE4 Remake and Star Wars Jedi Survivor as my game of the years last year, but I digress. That's just one man's opinion, and that's all I can say about that. But that'll do it for me. Absolutely massive story about PlayStation in terms of Sony Group acquiring Kadokawa. We'll keep you guys posted on that because that's going to be a huge story to follow. Control 2, noted to be an action RPG, and Alan Wake 2 sales have topped 1.8 million units. That's going to do it for me. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.